In this tutorial, we're going to cover how to create some double exposure techniques using Adobe Photoshop. The most important thing to remember with creating double exposures for Photoshop is having images with really good contrast. Otherwise, it's really hard. Sometimes it's trying to figure out how to tell the story. So this time, we created kind of this woman with these butterflies and some flowers all the way around. We're going to start with some really simple stuff. So I want you to go ahead and open up the woman with the hat. And that's going to be our base image. It doesn't matter if it's black and white or color because we will be adding some adjustment layers. So to this woman, I want to go ahead and add some butterflies. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my butterflies and bring it straight over top. And it came in really small, so I'm going to go ahead and transform it. And I'm not too worried about resolution and things for this one because we're going to be messing with it anyway. So now I've got my two images on top of each other. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and right click on each layer and convert each one to a smart object. That'll let us play with things a little bit differently. From there, let's go ahead and add a fill layer. So a new adjustment layer, and let's do black and white. So let's do black and white over top of the whole thing because it makes it a little bit easier to see kind of what's going on. We can always bring some of the color back in later. So on my butterfly layer, I'm going to go ahead and change my blending mode down to lighten. And you can already see some of those elements of the butterfly starting to come through. But I can make it just a little bit better if I do a Control L, which will bring up my levels. I can go ahead and adjust just how bright and how dark some of those individual elements are. Now I'm not crazy about this mushroom here, so I'm going to go ahead and make that go away. We're going to do that by adding a layer mask. So I'm going to come down here to my camera, add layer mask. Remember with layer mask you paint with white or black. So I'm on black, I've got my paintbrush, and I want to go ahead and hide this. Just kind of blot it out. Hide those sections that you don't want to have show through. So maybe you don't like part of this stuff. Another weird mushroom. Let's go ahead and hide that guy. So it's up to you. So what you're going to hide, what you're going to expose. So I can decide, hey, that looks okay, but I want a few more butterflies. So I can duplicate this layer if I want. Right click and duplicate the layer. Say okay. I'm going to go ahead and hide that mask. Oh, undo. I'll just grab the mask part, throw it in the garbage. And I can take now and move that second set of butterflies, kind of move them around. Maybe I don't like them where they are. I can go to Edit, come here to Transform, and let's go ahead and flip it horizontally so I'm reversing where my butterflies are appearing. And we can go ahead and adjust it a little bit that way and hit my Enter. Once again, I'm not crazy about these weird mushroom things, so I'm going to add a layer mask. Go ahead and grab my paint. You can always adjust how much flow, how much you're going to cover up, how much you're going to let show through. So maybe you don't want that quite all over her face. Get rid of that guy. So it's a very simple way to create that double exposure. I've got that line here, so I don't necessarily want that. Maybe I'll take my flow down a little bit, take my brush up, my square brackets, just kind of blend that into the corners a little bit more, kind of create a vignette a little bit. And come down here and do about the same thing, because I've got some funky line going on over here in the corner I don't necessarily love. Just kind of wipe over those. Create kind of a vignette effect. So now if I wanted to turn that blue back on, I could take this black and white layer and drag it down right above my original photo. Now I really don't love how those brights are coming through, so I'm going to click on here, grab my layer mask, and bump my brush up a whole bunch. And why is it doing that? And just kind of hide some of that stuff. Maybe I don't like it. Maybe I want to go ahead and leave it black and white because it gets kind of cool when it gets those little elements. So it's up to you as to how you're going to play with it. So let's go ahead and do File, Save As, and call her Butterfly Hat. First initial, last name, underscore butterfly hat. And play save. Now if I wanted to, I could go back to this base image here. You can see I added some flowers as well, so I can go back to my butterfly hat. And I could bring in, I've got some cosmos here that we can add. So maybe I want to add those cosmos here. Hit enter. Put it underneath that black and white layer. Make sure that those are a, what is that, a smart object. Go ahead and change it to lighten. Or I can come down here to darken. I kind of like darken better. Multiply, it's kind of see-through. Oh, maybe multiply is cool. And I can still see that kind of line coming through, which I don't necessarily want. So let's go ahead and add a layer mask. Grab our paintbrush and kind of just rub out the edge of that line. So you could add a few more flowers if you wanted to. Maybe you add one over here. Maybe I want them to be reversed, so let's do an edit, transform, and let's flip them over, flip horizontal. Kind of bring them down into this corner, and hit enter. Let's go ahead and change it to, I think we had multiply. Once again, let's add another layer mask. Kind of rub out those edges. So you can see you can create a lot of really cool effects relatively easily. I'm going to hit save. With the different kind of layer masks, it's really just a matter of playing with them. Alright, so what's another kind we can make? We can go ahead and make this kind where we've got the girl with kind of the sky kind of coming out of her head, which is kind of cool. So let's go ahead and open up our woman. Oops. And let's just grab her. Now one of the things I know I don't like about this image is I don't like how the images are going to come through her sweater. So I could do a few things. I could try and brush those and try and brush them out so they're kind of hiding a little bit. My flow's set really low, so I don't necessarily want that. I could use my spot healing. Kind of start spot healing those away. It's going to take a while to do that though, so you might not necessarily want to do it that way. Plus my brush was really, really tiny. Oh, and I'm making it worse. So let's go ahead and back up on our spot healing. And for now, or you can just cut it off, which is probably the easiest thing to do. For now, let's go ahead and play with our double exposure. I'm going to go ahead and grab those trees. So I'm going to do a file open. And I had those Milky Way trees right up one folder. Here we go. So you see you've got it open on another level, on another folder. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it down. I'm going to grab that layer and bring it in to the image that I want to combine it with. I can go ahead and close my Milky Way now. Yeah, we've got a few problems here. We can go ahead and fix that. Let's do File, or Edit, and Transform. And let's go ahead and rotate it counterclockwise because I know I want to go ahead and put that kind of on her head. And I'm going to shrink it down until I kind of get the size that I want. And I'm going to turn it a little bit because I kind of want it to look like it's coming out of her hairline. And we'll hit enter. And let's go ahead and convert those to smart objects. Right click, convert to smart object, convert to smart object. Go ahead, add our adjustment layer with the black and white above the whole thing. On our trees layer, go ahead and change that down to lighten. And you'll see we've got some pretty good stuff happening so far. Kind of the hair, maybe we want to hide part of that. So let's go ahead and add a layer mask. Grab our dark color, make sure it's black. Grab our brush, check your flow. Kind of darken that up so we can so right now I'm showing more and more of her hair, which I don't necessarily want. So let's go ahead and switch it to white. And the more we go over, the more we can kind of bring out those individual colors there. So what else can we play with? Let's add a layers or level adjustment, so a Control L to that one. And maybe make those darks just a little bit darker. Make the lights a little bit lighter. And I can add a levels adjustment to my stars as well, so Control L for that levels. You can bring that sky way up. Up to you as to how you're going to do that. Now, I've got this weird part down here, so let's go ahead and grab our brush and our layer mask, and make sure you're on your layer mask itself. Oh, cancel. On your layer mask, and it's not flowing super well. And I'm painting with white, which doesn't help, so I need to paint with black. Kind of blend those edges in a little bit so you can't see where that edge comes through. Now, if I want to, I can grab this black and white, move it down right above the black and white of the woman. So now I kind of have a cool colored sky behind her coming out of her head. So do a file, save as, first initial, last name, underscore, let's call her Tree Girl. And save on that one as well. Alright, let's go ahead, close that down. Alright, so what else can we do? Maybe you want just to have part of your image to have the image what's called clipped to it. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that as well. So let's open up the Star Boy. And the first thing we want to do is make sure he's isolated, because otherwise when we go to clip, it won't work. So I'm going to go ahead and grab because it's totally white, I can use my magic eraser and take off that background layer. That way when we clip it, it will have edges to clip to. And let's go ahead and do a file open. And let's find an image that we want to clip to him. Let's try this stars here. So it came in over top. So we're going to go ahead and pull that down. Grab our move tool. Bring him in over top of our boy. Close that one. No, we don't want to save it. We want to make sure we change both of them into smart objects. Right click, smart object, right click, smart object. Then we want to go ahead and do the Control L for levels. And we can adjust that a little bit. Let's do it on this one so you can see a little bit better. Control L for levels. Kind of change. And let's go ahead and change that blending mode down to lighten. So now you can kind of see through our kiddo, which is cool but a little weird because I just want to have his outlines. So I can go ahead and double click on my levels. I can adjust those a little bit more. Make it a little bit darker. Now I could leave it like that, or I can clip the image to him. So I'm going to go ahead on my layer 1, do a right click, create clipping mask, and now it will put that double exposure just behind my little boy. So there's quite a few different things you can do with double exposure. It really just depends on what you want to do with it. Basics, open it up, convert it to a smart object, change the layer mode to lighten, start playing with levels, play with your masks, and you'll get something you like. So let's do a file, save as, first initial, last name, underscore Starboy, and you're good to go. That is all for this one.